Welcome to another episode of the CPGGUYS podcast. Our co-hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Shri and Peter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CPGGUYS podcast. I'm PVSB, also known as the Suburban CPG Guy. My domains of expertise, if you would call them that, they revolve around the digital shelf, retail, customer data, insights, CRM, and loyalty. And my co-host, he's the big falutin city CPG guy. He's an expert in branding, direct-to-consumer, unified commerce, retail media, and marketplaces. Please join me in welcoming the man with one name, Shri. Shri, how you doing today?
Doing awesome, Peter. Pleasure doing this week over week with you, but this one flummoxed me. City, suburban, I was expecting the usual. You are the Siskel to my Ebert.
Greenacres is the place to be. Sorry, I'm dating myself with old 60s sitcoms. But
I'm out of touch, man.
I know. Before we get to our guests, I want to remind our audience that all of our content, including our wildly interesting series on profitability, everybody talks about that. It seems our women's leadership series, Shri and I were able to help contribute $8,000 to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Our ongoing founder series, I know it was in Q1, but we continue loving to talk to founders. In the second part of this series, we spoke with Shoppable's founder, Heather Marie Udo. All that content is available, and for a very good price, Shri. We don't charge anything. That's a good deal, right? No cost. Just go to cpgguys.com and you can find it all. And Shri, our platform is audience driven. Like, we want our content to be reflective of what our listeners want and who they want to hear from. The best way to do that is going to ratethispodcast.com/CPGGuys and leave us a review on the Apple platform. A rating is also nice too. Shri, what's my favorite number? 5. I like 5. It's up to you what you want to rate, but 5 is good. But seriously, give us a review because we want to know what you want to hear about, and we're going to do our best. We've been reading the reviews you've been leaving, and we are scheduling guests and topics to conform with what you want to hear about. We do greatly appreciate the direction. So, back to what is the third part in a series of our partnership with Shoppable. Brands are increasingly focusing on DTC capabilities. You'll hear Shri talk about the fact that DTC in one format or another is basically non-negotiable for a scaled brand these days. And for many brands, that's a really challenging effort because they're really good on kind of the upfront, the images, the copy, and the buy now button. The problem is what happens after that, right? How do I get the product to the consumer? So we launched this 3-part series with Shoppable to talk about what Shri and I found to be very interesting in their platform, which is a multi-retailer checkout solution that enables brands to get all of that 1P related benefits of direct-to-consumer, particularly around ownership of the consumer data component, like the actual purchasing, but not have to deal with the massive headache that can be associated with building out a supply chain capability that doesn't exist, right? So in the first part of the episode, we had Holly Bonney, the Director of Sales and Partnerships, joining us. And what she did for the third part of this series, she brought along a guest, which is one of her clients. So we're happy to have join us someone from GlaxoSmithKline, aka GSK, which is a Shoppable client that uses the multi-retailer checkout system on some of their brand sites. She's been with GSK for about 2 years, and she currently serves as the Associate Digital Marketing Manager. So please join us. I'm tripping over my tongue. Please join us in welcoming Carolina Flores. Carolina, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, Shri, Peter, thank you for having me. And Holly, thank you for the invitation to join everyone here.
This is great. Can I just say, if you're watching on the video, Carolina has I've got serious Zoom envy today. You have got I want to get to that point. I've got all these tchotchkes, but I think it's just really good. It's really good. So anyhow, watch on the video. You will love it. Anyhow, before we get started, Carolina, our audience, they multitask, right? They love to, it's tell me, but show me too. So in order to enable them, can you direct our audience to a couple of sites, one or more sites that is employing within your portfolio that is employing the shoppable technology?
Yep. So the GSK sites that are relevant for today's discussion are nicorette.com, voltarengel.com, and the Be Well and Staywell.com.
Okay, perfect. So I would encourage all of our audience, we'll have links to all of those sites in the vernacular, the liner notes of this podcast, so they can go to it, but that's really helpful. Thank you so much. So let's actually get to the questions, because we talked to Holly. She told us a lot about the platform. We talked to Heather about the founder and CEO, Heather Mariuto, the founder and CEO of Shoppable, about what the business case was for doing this. So let's kind of get into the questions that Sri and I are really interested to understand as to how GSK is leveraging this capability. But before we do that, Carolina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is at GSK and kind of some of the priorities that you're addressing in your role?
Yes, absolutely. So I joined GSK in August of last year.
Yep.
So right around the time when everyone was, reflecting on the pandemic, we'd already figured out that we needed to make some changes to our digital strategy to begin adapting. And, part of that was understanding that consumers' behaviors had changed around, how they were shopping, less foot traffic in our retailer partner stores, more e-commerce traffic was coming through. So when I was brought on, the first project that I was tasked with was actually to understand the buy now vendor partners in the landscape, that existed, and basically break down for all of the brands a recommendation for how to approach making that decision for themselves. And in that journey, I came across Holly and Shoppable and became very familiar with the platform, and definitely jumped right into evolving the partnership. Some of our priorities are just to continue to adapt to those changing consumer behaviors and really just take advantage of all of the new technology that exists in the space that we would benefit from.
Holly, Carolina, first of all, welcome to the CPG Guys. We're honored you've chosen to be with us today, and we're looking forward to an awesome dialogue. So you mentioned what your D2C priorities are, Carolina, and you also mentioned you met Shoppable early in this journey. But I'd love to know from both of you, actually, how did that journey develop? It's one thing to meet up and know a solution. It's one thing to actually learn the details, get it implemented, and then do a test and learn perhaps, and then actually enjoy the benefits that it's giving all the brands that you labeled earlier, such as Nicorette, etc. So can both of you take us through the journey of how that happened, how it was built, and how it all the way you're getting value now?
Yeah. So, I can start with that just because I've been with Shoppable now for almost about 2.5 years. And I always laugh and I say that the relationship with GSK is kind of like my baby, because as a salesperson, they were my first onboarding for my role at Shoppable. So they really were kind of ahead of the curve in the idea of this D2C journey and how to really tackle the challenges that come along with it. So we started this relationship probably about 2 years ago now, and started with Nicorette as our first test site. And, I think I hope that we can say we had some great results, because they started to bring on some additional brands. Voltaren quickly followed with some really cool things that they were doing with that brand as it was a newer one. And at that point, that's really when Carolina got involved, and it was great for us to have, you know, an internal advocate at GSK to kind of work across all the brands and show the value of Shoppable to different brands with different initiatives. I think everyone knows that within a CPG conglomerate, you know, every brand might have a little bit of a different goal or, you know, initiative, but you know, with her coming on board, it's been really great. And I can kind of let her speak to her experience when she kind of came in and took the relationship over.
I think there was still a lot of potential for the brands to understand exactly all of Shoppable's capabilities. And even to this day, you know, we're still in the middle of I would say in the middle of our journey in terms of unlocking all of those capabilities. Currently, their solution is on site, but they also offer a lot of media capabilities as well. But to back up a little bit, you know, I do want to emphasize that this is a decision that is happening on a brand by brand basis. But you know, to broaden the view a bit more, direct to consumer is top of mind for GSK. We recognize the model and the investment allows us to foster our own relationships with consumers, cultivate their trust, personalize their experiences across all of the different channels where they might engage with our brands. I can say that we plan to home grow a DTC model, but only for the brands and the products that it makes sense for. Companies, in terms of making that decision for themselves, really need to understand the value exchange for the consumer and why they would choose to buy directly from your website versus a retailer. And so we're taking a hard look at our sandbox, what we sell, how we sell it for each of our brands. And, you know, we're not only weighing supply chain fulfillment, customer service kind of hurdles there, but we also have to factor in that historically, the majority of our e-commerce revenue comes from marketplace and wholesale. And so those relationships, those retailer relationships are really important for us to also factor into those DTC kind of conversations that are being had. All that said, it is a brand by brand decision to shift over to this kind of DTC light model. But in the spirit of celebrating wins, DTC did make sense for chapstick, and they're currently taking orders on their site for their new spring collection. And I would recommend the peach flavor if that's something that, you know, you're open to.
I'm open to all recommendations, so that was great. Thank you,
Carolina. I feel like she's speaking your language. As she was talking, I was like, wow, it sounds like exactly what Shri would say.
That's great. So to that point, what you talked about, that it's on a brand by brand basis, would love, Carolina, if you could speak to a little bit about a brand that is considering this journey of D2C and really what that brand saw in the value proposition that Shoppable would enable and what you're getting out of that. It just seems like a really interesting opportunity. And I know Holly talked about it in the past, but I kind of want your position on this.
Sure. So I'd say that the biggest advantage to working with Shoppable is the relationship that you begin to unlock with the consumer, kind of the familiarity that you gain. But aside from that, there's improved marketing effectiveness. Our campaigns can now be tailored to more than just awareness. We can retarget to high value action signals like add to cart. So our audiences are just of higher value and are showcasing have showcased higher intent. So for example, there are savings to be gained there rather than pay a premium on conversion optimized campaigns with these audiences that Shoppable has kind of gifted us with. We're perfectly happy with reach, you know, knowing that they've already showcased those signals of high intent. But aside from improved marketing effectiveness, there's also a lot of competitive intelligence that can strengthen our position at retailer. So Shoppable's analytics tool presents us with insights that can have omni-channel outcomes. So we have our own data from the Shoppable Insights tool that's supporting our discovery of where our consumers are more loyal for the various brands. And that kind of comes into play with then how we talk to our retailers about activating in store. That is also really important to factor in as well.
So I'd love, Carolina, for you to decompose for us how you connected all these D2C initiatives you kind of described to this particular solution, which is Shoppable. Like when I think of Shoppable, I think of a light D2C infrastructure. It gets you the D2C like experience primarily because you can check out and you get the data. So I'd love to learn from you what those objectives were and if Shoppable actually connected the dots.
Yeah, so Shoppable definitely did help to connect those dots. The goals were to be able to track higher intent signals that were happening on our site. So rather than just serve as an awareness or learning opportunity whenever consumers come to visit our site, they can do so much more. We can help facilitate getting the product in their hand. And that was immediately accomplished by our partnership with Shoppable. But we're also tracking now where it is that they have added something to cart, made it to accomplish a full conversion on our site. So, and from that, we're developing more sophisticated retargeting campaigns. So it's not only changed how we interact with the consumer and how the consumer kind of can experience our brand, but it also has changed the sophistication of our marketing campaigns.
I would love to hear from you because I'm hearing so many advantages in using this approach. From your perspective, if you were to rank it, what do you think is like the biggest advantage or advantages of working with this kind of D2C-like experience from the standpoint of what it delivers to the GSK enterprise?
To that, I would say it immediately removes the hassle of having to think about supply chain, solves fulfillment, solves distribution, establishing a customer service kind of portal, for consumers to relay any issues that they're having with any orders. All of that does not have to be dealt with. And instead we can go directly to Shoppable to plug in a lot of those services. And, as I mentioned, our retailer relationships are really important. So here we are with a solution where it appears to be DTC, but the purchase is being processed by the retailer.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is to the consumer, the transaction is occurring on the brand site, but the merchant of record, I think, is what you were getting at, is actually the retailer. I'm curious because you kind of refer to this. What has been the feedback from your retail partners as to this that are involved in the platform as to your contribution to their sales as a result of this D2C like experience?
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed the conversations that we have had. They definitely appreciate the data that we are coming to them with about the sales that we are seeing on our side as well, because, that's a view that they don't have access to. So having, that goes back to the point of a solution like this with the analytics and insights that they present does and can have the omni-channel outcome where we change the way that our relationship works with the retailers. And now we're talking about, this specific brand has a higher affinity for checking out with this retailer. What does that mean to you? That's valuable to both of us. And so that changes how we bring campaigns to life together and where it is that we're spending like our co-op dollars. So those have been great conversations to take part of and to see are happening. Now, on the other side of things, Shoppable is still broadening their integrations offerings with more retailers. So we're excited to help facilitate those conversations as well. We want to see more integrations happen so that we can have those productive conversations happen with other retailers as well.
Carolina, I'd love to learn this partnership that obviously GSK and Shoppable is created, which seems to be really delivering at the end of the day for the MVP in the room, which is your retail customer. Is there some unique experience or two in this ecosystem that has been put into place that you think is really a shoppable capability? Whereas if you build all the stuff up by yourself in D2C, that you're never going to be able to get or never be able to find?
Yep. So for those multitasking, the bewellandstaywell.com site is the one that I would direct you to go to now. So this has been a really fun initiative to bring to life. It was born out of the pandemic to support GSK families as they look to budget their spending a bit more. So together with Shoppable, GSK was able to create an FSA HSA calculator tool.
Brilliant.
So with this tool, consumers can get an accurate picture of their over-the-counter healthcare spending and be able to just in general make better budget decisions in the future and ensure that they're making the most of their benefits plans.
You know, having come from a health and wellness world myself from a couple of roles ago, I'd love to hear from you, Holly, this uniqueness. Is there anything else in your mind you can share that Shoppable brings to the table that's unique that Carolina already hasn't spoken to?
Yeah, and I don't even know if this is specifically unique to just GSK, but I think one thing that I really love from a Shoppable standpoint is the idea of shoppable media, right? I think that it is such a buzzword right now. How do we make our ads shoppable? How do we make our Instagram shoppable? All of these different things. And it's really cool that with Shoppable's technology in a wide variety of ways, right? We have a couple different ways we can do it. We're really able to make media shoppable. And by shoppable, we don't mean browsable, right? I think that a lot of people like to use the word shoppable as meaning like, oh, you can browse this media, but really where do you buy it? How do you get there? How do you know where the end consumer lands? It's our technology that really allows it to be shoppable, to be buyable, and to bring that transaction to the media as opposed to bringing the media to the transaction, really cutting down that consumer journey. And, you know, there's so much out there right now with dynamic ads and a lot of really cool AI companies that are doing really unique things on the media piece of it. And now Shoppable comes in and we're really able to kind of put a really nice little bow on it to make it true shoppable media.
Shoppable media, I absolutely love it. In fact, today I bought off of Instagram a polo shirt that is covered in nautical flags. Much to my wife's chagrin, I'm sure she's going to be horrified by it, but I can't stop buying things like that. So sorry, Zara. I didn't mean to call you out too much on that. My wife, she understands. She listens to the podcast. She's going to give me grief about this later. But in any event, so Carolina, beyond kind of that direct to consumer, is there anything in particular that you want to call out in terms of what Shoppable is doing to help benefit GSK?
Yeah. So I would say that, and this probably, it's hard to get outside of direct to consumer when you think Shoppable. I mean, I spoke to this earlier, but I still very much appreciate that the company as a whole is continuing to advocate for more integrations with retailers.
Yeah.
That's kind of the first question that comes to me when a brand is thinking about the Shoppable solution is, which retailers are they integrated with, and how far integrated are they with these different retailers? How much data has this retailer decided is appropriate to pass back? So just knowing that Shoppable is continuously working to bring a higher level of partnership and integration with more of the retailers that matter to us is huge for us.
So This is a two-part question. First, Carolina, I'm going to ask you a question and then Holly a question back on the shoppable media piece, just so that our listeners can understand what that shoppable media outcome really is. So Carolina, first for you, this is needless to say an exciting partnership between Shoppable and GSK. What excites you about this partnership? Like, is it the fact that you can connect directly with the retailer? Is it that you can actually get data back? Or is it the one click, I'm ready to buy as a consumer? Or is there something else?
So it's the consumer relationship that we're fostering, the understanding of the consumer, and the improved business agility overall, sophistication of the marketing campaigns, the access to the full view of the funnel. All of this is what we're most excited about in terms of the Shoppable partnership, continuing to evolve that and grow that. I look forward to witnessing the speed at which we're able to adapt to our consumers' ever-changing needs and their behaviors, watching them change and us just being able to unlock more potential to quickly be able to respond and react to those changes. That alone is huge potential for our partnership to continue to grow. But I'm excited for any and all traffic that comes to our sites because for these visitors, we can play a role in meeting all of their brand related needs. And we're thrilled that these connections with the consumer, we're able to begin fostering a bit more ourselves.
Thank you so much, Holly. So obviously, Carolina said, I'm excited about the speed. Once a brand has decided to partner with you and they said, hey, let's do this together, how long does it take from then to actually stand the solution up to a consumer clicking on the buy button? Is it 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months? Like, can you give us a sense?
Yeah, I think the average amount is 30 to 45 days. 45 to 60 days if, they're a little bit leisurely, 90 days at most. You got a million other things going on. I think that's one of the biggest values of Shoppable, right? Is that we already have the merchant relationships. We already have the distribution covered. All of the things that come along with a true D2C model that really just takes a lot of time and a lot of strategy and a lot of thought. Shoppable just wipes that away, right? You implement this technology onto your site, 45 days, 60 days, whatever it might take. I mean, that's nothing compared to the years that some brands are taking trying to figure out what full-blown D2C means for them. And then, take the next year and take your learnings and really understand, was that 60 days worth it? We hope the answer is yes. And, you can kind of take your D2C initiatives from that point forward, but at least that the level of effort needed to get those really valuable learnings was pretty light.
Gotcha. So here on the CPG guys, we have a belief when anyone uses an acronym or uses an industry commercial term that many listeners may not know, we ask them to decompose it. And the word of the day is shoppable media. And so when I think shoppable, everything that comes to my mind is, it's the shoppable media. So could you decompose for our listeners, what does shoppable media mean?
From my side of things, true shoppable media means that you see something, you are inspired to purchase it for some reason, whether it was cookies or tags or whatever it is, that product was put in front of you for a reason. You are inspired to purchase it and you can purchase it right then, right? Carolina's talking about speed. I think that is the key, is the speed to transaction. And that's what Shoppable does. Like I said, we're not creating browsable media. Tagging products is one thing. You are actually able to shop from that media very easily. And that's the way that I would personally decompose the idea of true shoppable media.
Holly, you mentioned cookies. Google, don't take away my cookies. I need these. Sorry, if you're watching on the video, you'll appreciate the humor there. I want to remind our audience that all of our content is available. Shri is just like shrugging his shoulders like, I can't believe Peter did that. All of our content is available for free. Just go to cpgguys.com. And of course, please leave us feedback. Go to ratethispodcast.com/cpgguys. Leave us a review, if nothing other than the fact that I held up this delicious chocolate chip cookie that's not going to last more than a minute after we finish this podcast. Holly, I want to thank you for joining us from Shoppable. You've just joined an elite group. You are the third person to appear on more than one episode of the CPG Guys. That alone, you deserve a CPG Guys t-shirt.
I love it.
But Carolina, we want to thank you for joining us and helping us understand how a brand can put this D2C-like experience to work. We're so grateful to have you join us today. Thank you. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you both.
I thought this was great, taking what we learned in the first two episodes and actually looking at how it is applied. This is tremendous information. So I hope you had as much fun today as I did.
Whenever I learn something new and a word sticks in my head, you know I'm going to be using the word shoppable media a lot go forward, coined by Miss Holly Bunny from Shoppable herself. And it's going to feature here on the CPG Guys routinely and oftenly. Just watch out.
It was a loud podcast because we had a lot of knowledge dropped on us, Shree. So
absolutely. Carolina, thank you so much.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining us on this episode. This rounds out the third part of our partnership with Shoppable. We hope this helped inform you about options in terms of brands going D2C. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.